some more new books. We got a whole bunch of new books in this week. So the first one I want to talk to you about is Dream Country. And Dream Country is a novel of a whole bunch of different stories, a whole bunch of different characters, and a whole bunch of different time periods. So it's 5 generations of young people from the same African American family. So there's one character named Collie in 2008, and he cracks under the strain of life as a teenage Liberian refugee in Minneapolis. 1926, Tokar flees deep into the Liberian bush, desperate to escape a militia who wants to force him into forced labor. 1827, Yasmin Wright and her children run from a Virginia plantation bound for a new colony. 1980, UJ and Evelyn dare to believe their love can survive Liberia's fast approaching revolution. And 2018, in Minneapolis, one determined young dreamer makes an audacious bid to weave her family's tangled history into a new story and stake a claim to her future. So that's Dream Country. The next one is Tell Me Everything. Tell Me Everything is a high school girl who gets on this social media app that has been created for her high school. It's called Veil, and people can share their art on this anonymously. So you can create things, share your art anonymously, and people can comment on it and like it. And she starts to do nice things for people that are on this site. She figures out who is creating these art pieces and starts to do nice things for them, but then she kind of likes to stay under the radar, be the secret person, but things start to blow up, and she might have to come out of the shadows for once. So Tell Me Everything. White Rose, I think, looks really interesting. White Rose is one of those books that is written in poetry. So it's a little bit larger looking of a book, but it's all written in poetry, so it would still be a fast read. And this is about a German university student named Sophie who is about to face sentencing for a crime that is punishable by death. She's been distributing pamphlets against Hitler in Nazi Germany. So that is White Rose. The next one is by the author Allie Carter. She's written All Fall Down. She's a pretty popular author in our library here. But she wrote a nonfiction book that's called Dear Allie, and it's how to write a book. And she kind of gives you some pieces of advice, but she also takes questions from readers. So like, how do you make your characters 3-dimensional? Or what's the best way to pick names for people and places in your books? So if you're interested in creating books or writing, Dear Allie. This next one, of course I had to buy. It's called What You Hide. And I had to buy this one for our library because it is a thriller, mystery, terror type of book set in a library. So these 2 kids end up getting stuck in a library overnight, but the problem is they realize they're not alone and somebody is hunting them down. So thriller set in a library. The next one, Marie Lu wrote the Legend series, super popular series in our library. Book number 4 just came out. So Rebel, book number 4, next one in the series. The next one is Property of the Rebel Librarian. Again, a book about a library, so of course I had to get it. But it's about a girl who is a good kid, but one day her parents kind of decide that they don't approve of a book that's in her school's library, and it leads to a massive book ban at her school. And so this girl, June, she discovers a little free library in her community, and that contains some of these books that have been banned. So she kind of starts to become the book dealer at her school, and so kids seek her out and see if she can find the books that they can't get from their library anymore because books have been banned from their library. So this week is Banned Books Week, National Banned Books Week, so this would be a great read to celebrate that week. The next one is Masterminds, Criminal Destiny. This one is a sequel to a book that we have in the library. I think that we did have this book, but it got lost. So this is maybe not a new book to the library, but kind of an action adventure. These kids have been cloned, and so they're trying to figure out what's happening. They are clones of deadly criminals, so they're being hunted down as well. So this one, Gordon Corman, very popular author. Slay is the next one. Slay is about a 17-year-old girl She's African American. She's attending Jefferson Academy, and there aren't very many black kids at this academy, so she kind of feels a little bit left out at school. But she creates a video game that becomes hugely popular. So she's a gamer, and this video game kind of takes over the world, kind of like Minecraft or Fortnite. It's that popular, and it starts to cause a lot of issues in her life. She's trying to stay anonymous. She doesn't want people to know that she's the one that's created this video game, but there's a murder that happens, and this one would also be a good read-alike if you enjoyed The Hate You Give, or if you haven't gotten a chance to read The Hate You Give yet. This one kind of would be a good read-alike for that. The next one, Camp Valor. This one I thought sounded really interesting. It's about this kid who gets in trouble for a crime that his friend committed. So while he's doing the time for his friend's crime, somebody approaches him in jail and says, hey, we have an option for you. If you want to get out of jail, you can come join this super elite group of kids that are getting trained by the U.S. military. It's a secret government camp where you learn how to be these secret operatives, and you can do this instead of being in jail. So of course he says yes. And other governments in the United States are kind of coming after the United States and trying to attack these kids in this camp, so it becomes moves from a training exercise to survival. So that's Camp Valor. I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. This one is another read-alike for The Hate You Give. It's about two girls, Lena and Campbell. They aren't friends, but something happens at the football game on Friday night. They hardly can understand each other's point of view. They're definitely not friends, but none of that matters when the city's up in flames and they only have each other to rely on if they're going to survive the night. So this one, again, a good read-alike for The Hate You Give. Words on Fire is a historical fiction book. This one is set in the 1890s in Lithuania, and Lithuania is occupied by the Russian soldiers, and they are trying to destroy all of Lithuania's literature, and so she becomes a book runner. She tries to save the books from the Russians so that the Lithuanians can preserve their history and their heritage and their literature. Sweeping Up the Heart. This one looks like a really nice short read, not very many words on a page, nice short chapters and everything. But it's about a girl named Amelia. She wanted to go on a trip for spring break, but her mom passed away when she was little, kind of even before she really remembered her, and her dad just doesn't really do trips or vacations. So spring break, she meets this kid named Casey at an art studio, and they kind of become friends and bond with each other. So Sweeping Up the Heart. It's the End of the World as I Know It. This kid in this book is a doomsday prepper. His mom was killed in Iraq, and he is preparing for the end of the world when he meets a girl named Misty, and she's his neighbor. She offers to help him prepare, and they kind of become friends. It says that this book has tons of humor and heart, and it's perfect for anyone trying to figure out those big life questions that sometimes feel like the end of the world. So, it's the end of the world. The next one, if you liked the thing about jellyfish on this year's Iowa Teen Award books, this is the same author. It's called The Next Great Polly Fink. This is a book that's set in a small rural town where there are only 10 kids in the 7th grade at this school. But there was this kid named Polly Fink that was at this school last year. He's disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to him, but he's pretty legendary. Kids think that he's, say that he was the class clown. Some kids say he was a troublemaker. He was a klutz, evil genius. One thing's for sure, he was legendary. And now that he's gone, people are trying to replace him in the school. And the cool thing about this book, it's kind of has different formats. So it's written kind of like in lists. They interview a lot of the kids, so there's a lot of interviews in it too. So kind of a fun format, and that's The Next Great Polly Fink. Mind Games is the next one that's up, and Mind Games is about a girl who sells memories. So if you didn't get Homecoming Queen, but you wish that you had, you can buy a memory that you were the Homecoming Queen, and then after she gives you this memory or sells you this memory, it's like you were the Homecoming Queen. But she thinks this is pretty cool. But one day she realizes that her own memories have been hacked, and she meets a guy that she knows this guy, but she has no memories of him, and his memories have also been hacked. So they're trying to figure out who hacked their memories and what's the connection between these two. How does she know this guy? So that's Mind Games. Bloodleaf, kind of a fantasy adventure thriller. It's about a girl who has this thing called blood magic, and somebody attempts to assassinate her. She is an heir to the crown in her kingdom, so they tried to assassinate the royal family. She runs away. She is also betrothed to be married to somebody that she doesn't really want to marry, so she tries to get out of these situations, and like I said, adventure, magic, fantasy. That's Bloodleaf. All right, if you are a fan of Jason Reynolds, the author of Ghost and many other great books, very popular books in our library, his newest book just came out. It's called Look Both Ways. And Look Both Ways is 10 stories of these kids on their walk from home. And so or their walk home from school, I mean. So it just kind of goes through their stories about what's going on in their lives. And they all kind of interconnect in some way. So that's the new Jason Reynolds book. Fly Girls. This is a new nonfiction book, something I had never heard of before. But in the years between World War I and World War II, airplane racing was one of the most popular sports in America. And male pilots were hailed, but women who flew planes were ridiculed by the press. And initially, they weren't even invited to race. So it's the story of the women who were determined to make it in this airplane racing time period, and they wanted to be a part of the sport as well. So Fly Girls. We got the new Big Nate book in, Big Nate 8. This one, Before I Fall, not a new book to our library, but the copy that we did have was lost, so I got this copy back in. This is a movie, so if you've seen the movie Before I Fall, this is the book from that movie. Five Nights at Freddy's, very popular author Scott Cawthon. I also have his trilogy in as well, so if you're interested, get on the wait list for that. The next one is from the author of Serafina and the Black Cloak. This is one of our Iowa Teen Award winners from this year. This is another one of his books, Willa of the Wood. It's about night fairies and kind of a fantasy adventure in that one. Very good author. Echoes. Echoes sounds like an interesting concept. It says that Fiona and Miles wake on a deserted island. Their high school enemies now stranded together. They have no memory of how they got there, no plan to follow, no hope to hold on to. And then they discover something else is on the island with them, something that won't let them leave alive. That's Echoes. And then the last one is Field Trip. This one is the sequel to Road Trip, a book that we have in our library. It's by Gary Paulson and his son. Gary Paulson is a super popular author. These books are super short reads. They're a little over 100 pages, but they're very good reads if you are a dog fan, if you like dogs. So this one is about a boy, his dad, and his two border collies, and they are going on a road trip, and lots of adventures ensue. So the boy is trying to get his dad to take him to hockey camp. His dad wants to go on a trip instead, so it's probably going to be a little bit of clashing of the minds there. So any of these books, if they look good to you, they will be out on the new book display. If you do not see them, come talk to me to put them on hold so you can get them next. Hope to see you in the library soon.